Hi there and welcome to my presentation. It's Vanessa Baker, Stampin' Up! Demo from Waiuku in Auckland. And today I've decided to demonstrate the Beauty of the Deep stamp set and coordinating dies. And I've made this cute little card with using the coral, and I've achieved the different colours there by sponging a piece of card and then cutting out that die cut. So we'll get started with the background, which is actually stamped with Versamark. So it's a great way to get a tone-on-tone look for a background without using a colour. So to do that, you literally just take your Versamark and the stamp, and this you just stamp it all over, and the Versamark dries without you having to use the powder and emboss it, or use any heat. It will just air dry by itself. Oops. So it's a pretty quick way to cover the front of the card, and it's quite a unique effect. So at the moment it's quite shiny, but it will, as it dries, it will just be the same colour as the cardstock. And this cardstock is grey granite. So the next thing is to create our blended piece to do our die cut. And I just wanted this to look, like coral that you see in the ocean. So I wanted quite vibrant colours. So I've chosen Calypso Coral, Berry Burst, and Blueberry Bushel. So I'm just going to start with the coral. I want it to sort of go from one sort of an ombre effect, I guess, with the different colours. So when I'm using a blending brush, I ink it up, get lots of ink on there, and then just for that first initial blob to start it, I do that on my scrap paper, and then you can go in on the actual paper, and it doesn't leave a sort of a dark circle. And I want to get this quite vibrant. So we'll add some of the Berry Burst. This one's quite a lot darker, as you'll see. And I'm just going to blend the two together, just going in circles. And what you can do is just to blur that line a bit more between the two, is to come back in with the coral. And then I'm going to put a little bit of the Blueberry Bushel, and again this is a very vibrant blue, so you get that started off the paper. And it can just take a little bit longer, you need to go back with a few to build up the colour. And again, without even putting any ink, I could probably just go back in with that vibrant pink and just blur that line. So then I would take the die from the set that cuts out the large coral and just place that on there like that, and run it through your die cutting machine. And here's one that I've already got ready. So that was created using that same technique, so we can put that on our card, put that over here. The other thing I'm going to create is for down the side of the card here, I've also created an ombre effect on vellum, and it's just a not a very wide piece of vellum. I can see I've got a little bit of my stamping on there, so I'll just turn that over. And again, I'm using the blending brushes. So we'll just start this one with the little bit of the berry burst. At one end and in the middle, or sort of near the top. So I'm kind of copying what I did on the coral piece, and put some coral in here. And some blueberry. Again, I'll just blend those edges. So it's going to look something like that. And then I'll just turn this over so you can see it a bit better. Now I've got a aqua painter here, water painter, with just water inside. And I'm just going to flick the brush against the lid to get some drops of water onto the vellum. And you have to sort of flick quite firmly. Just keep going until you get it. So this is going to give sort of a look of water or bubbles. That's better. So when that dries, you have to set that aside just to dry. You can dry it with your heat tool. But once it's dry, it will look something like that. And so it's sort of got the look of bubbles coming through. Now we're going to attach that to the card, and I've got a little trick to show you, because with vellum, probably not so bad because I've coloured this, but it does tend to, the glue does tend to show through when you adhere it to your card base. Actually, I haven't got my card base. Oh, here it is. So this is going to be stuck directly onto the card base. So what I do is I put some Tombow onto my silicone craft sheet, and then I use the I don't know what you call this applicator end, but I use this end of the Tombow to pick up a little bit of that glue, and then which is the reverse. That's a more vibrant side. I think I'll use that side. So then I just paint that on, and because you want it in quite a thin layer, and then it won't show through. I might just need a little bit more. I also find you don't use as much if you're spreading it thinly like this. It's quite a good way. Just make sure you've got enough on the edge. So now I'm just going to stick that on. And if there's any extra overhanging at the back, we can just trim that off. So now I've got this thin piece of black to go along the edge of our focal piece. So I'll just put a thin line of glue on the back of that. And I just want like a millimetre of this, or is it an eighth of an inch? Even less, showing, just like that. And then that whole layer we can now add to the card front. So you could decide if you wanted to leave a bit more of that vellum showing. Now I have done a sentiment. I've used the Happy Birthday from Waves of Inspiration stamp set, and I've heat embossed that in white and die cut it using a shape from the Stylish Shapes dies. So I'm just going to put that on using the black dimensionals. And I'm just going to position that sort of in the center, and then take my coral and add some glue. I'm just putting little dots all over the back. You can use the adhesive sheets for a job like that as well. Now to just attach that. And then I've also stamped and pre-cut a little fish from the stamp set, the Beauty of the Deep stamp set, and this was done in the Blueberry Bushel. When you've got something small like this, and I'm going to adhere it on the edge of my coral, I put the dimensional actually on the card, because if I put it on the fish and then just put it where I wanted it, it could end up half on the die cut, and the dimensional then gets, you know, it's higher on one side than the other. So this is a good way to make sure it's at the right level. I'll just put my little fish there. So that's the front of the card done, and I'm going to just do a little stamping on the inside. So I thought we would use the same coral stamp, but this time put the ink on using Daubers and to get a two-toned effect. So I'm going to start with the coral. I'm just going to put that at the top. This is Calypso Coral. And then I'm going to add the Berry Burst at the bottom. I tried using 3 colours, but I found that 2 seem to work best, this size of image. And then I'm just going to go back in with the Calypso, just to across the edge where the 2 meet. And then you just huff on the stamp. And you get a little two-toned coral effect. And then I'm just going to add different fish in the Blueberry Bushel. I might put him sort of over. I might put him over here, just like that, and then that will get adhered to the inside. So I had great fun coming up with this card. It was sort of cased a little bit from a design by Jackie Aiken from a few years ago. So I'd like to give credit to Jackie for that. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed my presentation and you decide to add Beauty of the Deep to your order. I almost forgot to add the rhinestones. So I've got here some iridescent rhinestones that I'm just going to add to the card just to finish the front off. these are great rhinestone. They pick up the colours sort of what is around the gem. So it's picking up the oranges and the pinks in the card, which is quite pretty. Thanks for watching.